want to go back. You say something that I want to dive into a little bit. So let's be the last one before we go backwards in time. Um, so when you said about loving people that you don't know how to love, um, I would agree. I would agree with some of that in principle. And where I want to see where the line is for you, because like let's take your aunt or your parents or people that
Mm-hmm.
were quite cruel to you and all of these things. Where do you draw that line where loving someone becomes more of a hazard to your own personal and mental health, and that it's best to like you can just try to love them, maybe love them inside and not. How do you look at that?
That is a very, very good question, and it is definitely a line that needs to be drawn because that's a very important. Boundaries are extremely important, especially when you're dealing in this subject. And the line that I've personally drawn, and what I advocate for people to do is acknowledgement and acceptance and ownership. Like take my mom for example. I miss my mom every day. I haven't spoken to her in 6 years. I haven't spoken to her since the day I came out. I got approved for my TED Talk. I had just left a live TV show appearance that she saw me on. And right after I got a call from the TED Talk person saying could get a TED Talk, I got a call from her saying I was worthless and I should be dead. And that was the last time I spoke
Fuck.
to my mom. And that is that kind of that toxicity and that chaos hasn't stopped over there. There's been no ownership. I get attacked just because I came out talking, not because what I'm saying isn't the truth, just because I say something. So my response has been from day one that I'll stop the instant you tell me one thing that I'm not telling that's the truth. And if you're upset about me talking about the truth, what happened to me 35 years ago, but you're not paying attention to who I am today, then I'm not the person that has a problem. And if there is ownership and acceptance and any move towards the good at all, I will fully embrace my mom and say I love you and try to do my best to help and move forward because there's no reason to hold the grudges of the past. The past is the past and I cannot change it. I can only change the future.
Right.
So I there's no reason not to. But I also cannot put myself in a situation where I engage with that toxicity anymore. I've
Yeah.
given too much of my life and too much of my good to that negative to let that
Yeah.
hurt me anymore.
The
So
way
if
I've
there's any
described
of
it
that,
sometimes is that, sorry, I was gonna say the way I've
yeah,
described
yeah.
some of these toxic relationships sometimes it's like hugging a porcupine, where like
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to give love, but the more you hug, you're like, is this blood mine?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I
And
bleeding? Oh, let me
and
just hug harder, and then it's just like it gets worse and worse.
well, and the example that I always use is Mike, because my friend Mike, who I'm definitely going to talk about when we bring up my past, because he's the best,
Yeah.
most positive portion of my early life. What he did for me wasn't just, oh, dude, you're a friend and I love you and you're going to be great and everything's going to be good. He was a friend who called me on my bullshit and did it without insulting me. He was the only friend that I ever had that when I was going through shit, he would call me on it and be like, dude, you need to drop this toxic shit. This is what's causing you this problem here. This right here, you're a good dude, but this is what pissed them off. This is what happened here. This is what's causing you and like in real time, call me on my bullshit, but not in a way that, dude, you fuck you. Get away from you, fuck you. There's never been a time. Well, I've known him. I met him when I was 12 years old and he was 10. And I'm turning 44 this year. So 42 years. 32 years been friends with this guy. Okay. Never once in 32 years of friendship have we ever had a time where we said fuck you to each other. Not once. We've never had a fuck you asshole moment ever in our friendship. We've been able to have rational, reasonable discussions because he's the one friend that even though he was calling me on my bullshit and he would say, dude, I can't let you do this. I can't bring you in. No, today. You can't come and do this today because if this is the way you're going to be acting, you can't come over. No, you can't borrow $200 because you blew the $200 last week on what I gave you for other stuff. I'm not doing it again. He would have that line. And then afterwards say, do you want lunch? I'm going out. I'm going to go eat. Want to eat with me? Because I'm doing stuff. I got stuff to do today. You want to come spend time with me? Because it's not about it's the sharing space is so powerful. Being seen and being heard is way more powerful than being glad-handed and being told you're going to be fine. It's just as dehumanizing to be looked at like a project than to be looked at like a threat. So if someone looks at you like you're a monster and you're broken, that you're not a person. You're just a threat. But if someone looks at you like just want to fix you, and there's a 12-step program that can get you in, and you're just a checkbook or you're a mark on their checklist, that's just as depersonalizing. That's just as dehumanizing. And it's the humanity of it, the sharing the space. That dude, Mike used to tell me constantly was I was a good kid in a shit world. And that wasn't just a compliment telling me I was a good kid. That was you're in a shit world and you can get out of it. You can climb
Right.
out of this world. You don't have to stay here. You're a good kid in a shit world. Get yourself in a better world. He used to ask me when I was 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, what do you want to do, dude? You're going to be great at anything. Once you pick a direction and move, you're going to be fine. Just pick a direction and go. Because at the time I didn't have any future. I didn't think I had a future at all. I didn't look forward. If you'd asked me, what are you going to do what do you want to be in 10 years? I don't know what I want to be in next month. I don't know where I'm going to sleep tomorrow. Like 10
Right.
years, I'm dead. What do I want to be in 10 years?
Well, I would imagine if you come from such a chaotic environment, it's hard to plan ahead when you're just thinking,
Mm-hmm.
am I safe now? How about now? Am I safe now?
Yeah.
How about now?